All right, this is a very simple flow chart. All right, just remember this very simple moniker.
Right.
Everyone on the left side was evil and is currently evil. Everyone on the right side was also probably evil except for him, but are now good probably. We're still not sure about him. In fact, actually, he might be good. And yeah, no, I think that's a good place to start.
That's very convoluted. Let's get started. Hey guys, It's Convoluted, where we talk about our favorite series of comic books and anime and manga and stuff like that. And we know it's very confusing for you guys, so we just go ahead and break it down for you. I'm Darius Crosley.
And I'm Frank Joseph Hall.
And today we are, as you can see by the poster in the back, we are talking about Green Lantern.
What do you like about Green Lantern?
The biggest thing I like about Green Lantern is it's probably their powers. Like their powers are like, and not necessarily, and not in each emotional spectrum tribe. Like they all have like the same power, but each one has its like own uniqueness to its power. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and especially like even some of the designs when even when they make like the TV shows and stuff like that, like the designs
it's still unique.
It's still unique. Even though it's just like different color palettes, it's still like its own unique design.
Yeah, I think I like the cores a lot too. I think that's where a lot of people come into it. Some of the storylines are very interesting, but the lore gets so weird and it makes up its own stuff halfway through its comic run. Oh man.
Oh bro.
Well, let's get started.
Yeah, let's get started. We already know, like, we obviously we're talking about Green Lantern, so we're gonna be talking about Green Lanterns, but
the main Green Lantern, like the one the comics are about.
Yeah, the one the comics are about. So
which one?
You know, there's like 6 of them, right?
I think there's like 8 now that have their own comic runs. Yeah, I know. We'll talk about 5 because it gets so confusing after that, and also we're not caught up on those extra people.
We're not. As much as we like this universe, we're very classical people in a sense to where we liked our old stories of Green Lantern, like the old stuff.
All right. So the first one. So are we gonna go Silver Age or? Well, yeah, no, the first one. So a lot of people like to assume it's Hal Jordan, but in the Silver Age comics, just like how Jay Garrick was the first
Flash. We also had the first Green Lantern, which was Alan Scott.
Yeah, and he was like an older dude. He had like white hair and like a black mat. Like his garb was weird. It was red, really yellow.
We don't see. We acknowledge the Silver Age.
It's weird,
but we don't talk about the Silver Age.
I mean, we wouldn't be where we are now.
We wouldn't be here where we are with the Silver Age, but it's like
how all comedians have to get out their like really bad jokes that they think are funny in the beginning,
right?
And they're like, okay, we're just gonna do like this campy thing, and then they get into their serious phase of the 80s and 90s, and thank God we're out of that. And now we're just writing good stories. Anyway, Alan Scott. Yeah, it's really just that he's the first.
He's really the first, and I believe he had a power battery.
I think he had a lantern, yeah, but it wasn't like the established lore outside of that wasn't much. It really wasn't much. He had a ring that gave him powers. They really changed it a lot when
they revamped it.
Yeah, with the New 52, and they did Earth 2. So just quick thing on that. There's parallel universes done. In one parallel universe, they basically Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman die.
Yeah.
So like a bunch of new heroes come out of the woodwork. So like Garrick, a young Jay Garrick.
Yeah.
Alan Scott's in that, but he gets his powers in a different way, which we're not going to get into.
We're not talking about it.
We don't want to talk about that.
We don't want to talk about it.
Swamp Thing is not important to this. Yeah, Alan Scott's just the first.
He's literally that's all he's like cemented as himself as the first. But back to the other Green Lanterns. So
let's go in order. Hal Jordan.
Yeah, Hal Jordan, of course.
The one they made a movie about.
The poster boy, essentially.
They kind of revamped his personality. Like, I feel like Hal Jordan's the kind of person that they change his personality a lot.
They do change his personality a lot.
Yeah. So he starts off as a pilot for Ferris
Ace pilot, of course. So like the stereotype ace pilot. For at least for like story wise, like stereotype.
It's the
cocky guy.
It's the background to the D&D character that's to come. basically.
Pretty much.
But yeah, so he's a pilot. At some point, he either, in some variations, he loses his ability to, like, his pilot's license, or he goes in a crash.
Right. There's different variations. Sometimes he loses it. Sometimes he almost dies in the crash. Sometimes Evan Sor is the one that causes the crash.
Yeah, but regardless, a alien crash lands on Earth at some point, and Hal Jordan is the closest person there. He sees the alien, and the alien's like, "All right, well, I'm dying.
Here, take my ring."
Well, sometimes it's that, but
sometimes
the ring
chooses him. But I think the first one I think the first one I've seen, I'm pretty sure everyone's seen that terrible Green Lantern movie.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure it's just here now. Dying.
It's supposed to be like he's a chosen one in the sense of he's the strongest will, and they kind of retcon that later on.
Yeah.
Where he was the one with the strongest will in the immediate area. But yeah, so Green Lanterns have strong wills, which again is another thing that they don't really. They don't establish it enough.
They don't. Yeah, like I feel like for such an emotional spectrum, like I feel like Will like really, like that's the best we could come up with, guys. Like don't get me wrong, like I feel like tenacity would have been a better one.
Well, no, because I think willpower is something that, like, it depends on your culture. Like, at least with love, it's a little more universally defined, or anger and stuff like that. Even greed is super easy to understand. But, like, will is, like, is it the fact that you endure? Is it the fact that you're not willing to stand down? It's, like, it's kind of, is it mental fortitude?
Or is it just plain old stubborn?
Yeah. Like, I mean, Hal Jordan, he goes to the Green Lantern homeworld of Oa?
Yeah, Oa. And he learns how to use his ring. And it takes some time, but
Then he becomes the Green Lantern of Earth.
What is it? Sector 2?
I'm not looking that up.
Yeah, I'm not looking that up either. He's a sector of the Milky Way galaxy, pretty much.
I mean, I guess you can include Mars, but I think most of the Martians are dead at that point. So, Earth.
Yeah, Earth it is.
But yeah, like he's the main character in a lot of the Green Lantern stories, and again, it's the problem of like with Batman, at least everyone knows to go into his angst and brood.
Yeah.
But like with Hal Jordan, it's like I've seen him as like cocky and egotistical with all the one-liners, but then I've seen him with
the super like dark brooding like mode where that goes in like in a Batman.
The animated series had him as just. I think the animated series had him pretty well. He was like a good mix.
He was a good mix of both, but I think like one of the stories I did read in New 52 when about when Hal Jordan was called, he was just super dark and just
that was the New 52. That's the one where they have Superman kill people because they don't understand the character. Yeah, New 52 is not good. It was not. He's supposed to be nice and like nice dude. People like him. That's why he's a part of the Justice League.
Yeah.
That's why he's best friends with the Flash, Barry Allen.
Yeah.
Which actually, there's a lot of stories that their friendship actually plays an important part.
Right, because
one of them we'll definitely talk about. Darkest Day.
Yeah, Darkest Night. But as Hal Jordan goes on these adventures, like they focus on Hal a lot, so all the other characters don't get focused on. So every now and then when Hal comes back and they want to introduce a new character, he's just there. They just there and they're like, oh hi, I'm a character.
Oh yeah, you guys.
Yeah, pretty much. And which leads us to our second character, who's also very important, and so John Stewart, my boy.
I feel like this is the one that our generation, because of the Justice League animated series, knows the best. John Stewart's supposed to be so he's a war vet. He served in whichever current war
was
we allow.
Right.
I think right now it's Afghanistan.
Yeah.
But he's a war vet, but then he's also surprisingly compassionate.
Right.
Which that actually came.
That
came because of the TV series.
Yeah, it came because of the TV series, but
the 90s had a problem where they wanted to be diverse, but they didn't realize. How do we describe it? John Stewart was basically just the Black Green Lantern.
Pretty much, he was like a black. He wasn't. I wouldn't say a black version of Hal, because he
didn't have personality.
He was literally like a super serious black character. And every now and then when he loses ring, he just go into super. I don't even know how to
And then what's nice is that the Justice League animated series brought him in because they wanted a diverse cast on purpose.
Yeah.
Same reason they brought in Hawkgirl. And
Right.
then Phil Lamar, the voice actor for him, and the writers just took him in a really good direction.
Right. And
He's like he has the strict attitude of a military guy.
Yeah.
Where he's like, no, we need to get this done. But at the same time, he's still compassionate. I think one of my favorite ones.
The model soldier, pretty much.
Yeah. But one of my favorite ones is an episode where the Justice League is straight up fed with each other. Like fed up with each other.
And he's like,
guys, we need to train so we can stop these villains who are clearly doing better than us because they're actually communicating. And he puts together like this obstacle course thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I like that. That's cool. Like, we're watching that episode, I'm like, oh, nice.
I feel like with a character like John, like, don't get me wrong, John's one of my favorite characters, but I feel like with a character like John, when you give him the character backstory and the personality that he has, like, there's only so far you can really go.
That's why I'm interested in what they're doing now, where he's basically pursuing the new spectrum of light, the ultraviolet and all that. Which I'm like, oh, cool, we get a story with John that might actually,
Give him some fluidity.
And also just people will remember the story.
Right.
Yeah. People have a problem with that sometimes. Guy Gardner. So,
oh my goodness.
Darius and I both agreed. Guy Gardner was 100% a bad character.
Yeah, he was terrible.
Horrible person. When they wrote him in the first time.
Like I really want to go back in time to meet the person who honestly pitched this idea.
You know, it was just like, cause he's hotshot, like. But he wasn't even like. There was no likable qualities about him. That was the biggest thing.
I think what it was is because, like, think about comic books at the time, like, and think about, like, the archetype of what nerds were then.
Yeah.
I think the fact that they wrote a jock in.
That was the biggest problem, yeah. But it's also the fact that he's not like a likable jock.
Right.
Superman's like the football cat quarterback who's like still likable.
Right.
And
like, don't get me wrong, he's still a jock. And
Guy Gardner is the running back who just hates everybody.
It wasn't until a little bit later where
I want to say the 2000s is when.
Yeah, that's when he really like came into light.
Because that became the joke.
Yeah, that became the joke.
He was a bad
character. It wasn't like that's what made him that's what made him a good character. And
there's so many references to it. So in the Green Lantern animated series, he's just like this hotshot, I don't care who you are, and it's like played up as you were not meant to like this guy, but he's funny.
Right. He's like
Young
Justice was the greatest cameo of Guy Gardner ever. Because Flash is
Justice League is meeting. Justice League is meeting to get some new people on the Justice League. And Flash is like, by the way, we have a third Green Lantern, Guy Gardner.
No.
Hal Jordan and John just like, no. But no. And then he gets redeemed, and then he joins the Red Lanterns, which was very interesting.
Yes, I think it was actually good because given the background he had, given the background story that he has of him being like basically a played out jock, like going through like a midlife crisis.
Yeah.
It's essentially like really good for you to put him in the Red Lanterns, not only because it's my favorite core of Red Lanterns all day.
I'll get to that.
But because he just has so much freaking rage, all that pent up rage, like
it makes sense.
It's a wonder why it's not a wonder why he dethroned the man himself.
And then the final one we'll talk about is he's kind of become the new poster boy in a sense, or at least they've tried to.
They've tried to make him the new poster boy.
For the comics community, he's the poster boy, but for like Green Lanterns in general, it's still Hal.
Yeah, it's for Green Lanterns in general, it's always be Hal, but in terms of at one point or another, he was the poster boy because given the circumstances and the story.
Yeah, Kyle Rayner.
We're talking about Kyle Rayner.
Mainly because he becomes like. There's so many storylines about him that like expand the universe.
Yeah,
the universe.
He
literally goes to the edge of a universe at one point. Kyle Rayner is a Green Lantern. He's like an artist.
Yeah,
which is nice because one thing we haven't mentioned yet. So the ring. If you have enough will, you can basically turn it like create anything.
Yeah, pretty much. And the ring itself is also like a living a computer too. So it basically decrypts alien language, decrypts all variety of alien languages.
The problem they recognize
stuff like that.
The problem they recognize with like Hal, Guy, and John was that they're all
they're all very driven to their jobs. Like
Well, no, they're not creative.
they're not getting.
I'm gonna make a jet plane or a giant fist or a gun.
Yeah.
And then it's like in the Green Lantern movie where he's like, you have to learn to be more imaginative. 2 swords.
2 swords.
But so that's
a minigun.
oh, that's so creative.
So
then they introduce Kyle Rayner, who's an artist, who it's like naturally, it's like, oh, he can do more weird things because that's who he is. And then like, he just becomes like the guy who wears all the rings. Literally, there's a storyline about every ring wanting to be worn on him at the same time.
Literally, and like every time he takes off one, another one puts itself on him, and then he just goes like. I think they were. How long did it took them a while to stop him? Actually.
Yeah,
it took them a while to stop him.
And then he becomes the first. Well, no,
the
first White Lantern,
but the first one to
permanent one.
Well, yeah, permanent one.
And so like it's weird because like. I don't know his personality either.
Yeah, he doesn't like. Well,
it's more just like stuff happens to him and he reacts, which isn't per se
bad, but I feel like there's got to be like a little bit more depth to him. Like
Doesn't he also date Carol Ferris at some point after
Hal?
Yeah, after Hal and her breakup, which is awkward, and we'll definitely get to when we get to the Sapphires.
Right.
But yeah, I feel like he's just a younger version of Hal Jordan, pretty much.
He doesn't have direction. There we go. He doesn't have a sense of direction, or just sense of purpose. So, which is why it was really
a lot of stuff happens to him.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But no, it's not. I mean, like I like the characters for sure. I like their interactions with each other. It's like they can banter off each other real well.
Oh yeah, no, and I especially like when they're arguing because it's basically like John. It's like John and Hal are arguing. It's like John's arguing. Like they're both parents. Like John and Hal are the parents. Yeah. Guy's the problem child. The freaking Kyle. Kyle's
the shy introvert.
The shy introvert that's just sitting at the table, just really quiet, just like.
I hate this family.
So
the core as a whole. Well, the Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah.
So again, we talked about how he puts on the ring. He gets teleported to Oa, which is where the Green Lanterns reside.
Which is where the Green Lanterns reside, and funnily enough, it is the exact center of the universe.
That's stupid.
It is stupid, but
I mean, it makes sense when you understand the Guardians. But
yeah,
basically, the Green Lanterns are created to protect the universe.
Yeah, they're basically the police.
Yeah, there's different sectors.
They're the galactic police. They're the galactic police.
No, straight up.
And anyone who knows about the Green and any world that knows about the Green Lantern, the moment they figure out about the Green Lantern, they basically the ring picks someone from your planet. You are immediately enforced into the galactic, essentially galactic law. Yeah. So like it's like
it'd be the equivalent. It's kind of like how it's like, and we're here. We're gonna put law in this. Oh, I'm sorry, you live here. That sucks.
Right. Literally, it's the moment. It's the moment the ring comes on. Now, don't get me wrong. With each Green Lantern, they come with a sector, and the sector.
Yeah. So it's one per sector, just so
yeah. There's one per sector.
Which again.
5 humans, but we're not going to talk about it.
Yeah, so there's one per sector, and then there's Oa itself. And so like sometimes you'll have Green Lanterns that just live in Oa, some that like travel.
Right.
There's places outside of their jurisdiction that don't have Green Lanterns. But the basic idea is unless a Green Lantern dies or gets promoted. Like if a Green Lantern dies or gets promoted, then there's a new Green Lantern for that sector.
Yeah.
And that's how we justify the infinite amount of Green Lantern main characters we have.
Right. And just to touch on a couple of those characters, like they when they first introduced these characters, it felt like it was a variety, but I feel like we see too many of the same side characters.
Yeah, I mean, like Kilowog's an important dude.
Kilowog's pretty important
because he trains Hal, and that's
yeah.
And the animated series, which is actually CG, but we won't get into that. They actually do a good job with him. He's like actually friends with Hal, and like they get along really well. But he's still like this brute dude, and he's like, "No, we're gonna beat these guys.
We're gonna beat these posers." Okay, he says poser a lot.
Yeah, that's weird. No, so he's an interesting character. At some point, Sinestro, was part of the Green Lanterns, and we'll go more into that later.
Yeah, we'll go more on that later. But Sinestro, I would say, Sinestro was essentially like the leader of the Lanterns, with the exception of obviously the Guardians. But right now the Guardians aren't even like in charge of the Corps anymore. But we'll talk about that later.
What's nice about the Corps is that it gives like artists a chance to be really creative. So there's like a guy who's literally an eyeball and like tentacles.
Mm-hmm.
He's a Green Lantern.
There's a literal squirrel.
That's the best one. Chip.
There's a literal squirrel.
I think it's CH''P, right? Something like that.
There's this one guy who like kind of looks like MODOK, where he's just got this super giant head,
but he's a robot.
Yeah,
he's a robot.
He's like got little stubby arms.
I'm so happy. And then of course there's the infamous one, the planet that's a Green Lantern, Mogo. He's the living planet. Listen. If you've seen Guardians 2, it's not that crazy that planets are also living thing, like people themselves. So like,
and like what the wildest part about it too, he doesn't even have a ring. He's just like
no. Well, I know in some variations it's the rings in his core, in the core of the planet.
No, in some variations, but other variations, he doesn't even have a ring. He just literally has a giant power battery in his core, and you just walk up and you just to this day, and he just has like this giant like Green Lantern thing just wrapped around the entire planet. It's like the planet. It's like he just terramorphed the planet.
It's like the rings on the planet.
Yeah.
But not like Saturn's. Yeah. Are there anyone else? I feel like there's gotta be other... I feel like a lot of the side characters are in the other cores.
No, there's a couple other side characters. They're just, not important enough for us to remember their name.
That's really the issue. Because we focus so much on the humans, that it's we kind of don't remember these other people.
Yeah.
So, how did the Green Lantern Corps get started, Darius?
Well, obviously we talked about the Guardians, and basically...
What are they? They're Smurfs, right?
They're
Smurfs.
They're the Blue Man Group.
They're Smurfs. I was saying, they're more Smurfish than Blue Man Group. But there's
They used to be Blue Man Group.
Well, yeah, so that's the thing. They were normal-sized people that just could live a long time. And somehow...
they
become really short and big-headed.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, their heads are so huge. But
that's not even a dig at them. That's just truth.
That's just truth. The Guardians are essentially they're a race of highly intelligent beings. They basically know they basically know everything about the universe and everything there is to know about the universe.
So they decided to become the protectors of
the universe. And by becoming the protectors of the universe, they obviously they figured, there's not a lot of them left. I think there's only maybe 7, 8 of them.
There's a council of them. Yeah.
There's basically a council of them, and the Guardians essentially they understood they couldn't protect the entire universe by themselves, so they sought the power of.
Well, first off, didn't they do they did a bunch of stuff, and didn't they make the Anti-Monitor and all the Manhunters? They made the Manhunters.
They made the Manhunters.
Remember that.
Yes.
It's important.
So
they made their own robots that would patrol the streets, and that did not go well.
That did not go well at all. They wiped out. I'll put it like this: the Manhunters wiped out an entire sector.
Yeah. Because it wasn't. It's the classic thing with a robot. It wasn't malfunctioning. It was that they were too strict with their program.
Right.
We need you to get rid of all negative emotion. Let me calculate this. All emotion is negative. Therefore, anything with emotion we will kill. And that's what they... Yeah. And so they eventually power them off. The Green Lanterns have to fight them various times. Yeah. It's very interesting. So that fails.
That fails. So they seek the emotional spectrum, which I think we can talk about it now.
No, we'll keep talking about this.
They seek the emotional spectrum, and out of the emotional spectrum...
wasn't the emotional spectrum when the Green Lantern was first made.
Yeah.
And then they eventually retconned it to be that.
Right. They seek the emotional spectrum, and then they figure out of all the emotional spectrum, they figured out that willpower was the most not only efficient one to use, but the most controlled one to use as well.
They have a problem. A lot of some of them will turn out to be really control freaks.
They're
strict.
control. No,
Yeah.
no. There's no other way than saying that. The Guardians are like literally control freaks. They're like
Some aren't. Some of them join various other groups.
they're like some of you. No, I shouldn't say that. Never mind.
But yeah, like they have a problem and they're like pretty like tough.
There we go. That's how I'll put it. They act as if they're the parents of the universe.
Yeah, and that everyone's a child and doesn't know anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's bad. So like obviously our main characters, especially
Oh yeah.
they get into a lot of trouble.
They get into a lot of trouble because they're like you guys are child. You guys are children. And they're like, we're not. We're grown adults. We're just using our morals. No, you guys are children. You're not thinking rationally.
And then they save the day, and they're like, "Oh, we're sorry.
Yeah,
we'll change our ways."
Never change their ways. We'll talk about it later.
But yeah, they've tried a lot of different things to control and make sure the universe is safe. A lot of them fail. The Green Lanterns surprisingly do well, except for the few times the Green Lantern Corps completely is destroyed.
Yeah. Which happens multiple times.
It's a lot.
One of the biggest things about the Green Lantern Corps and why I have like a love-hate relationship with them is because they get written off so easily. The Green Lantern Corps is essentially an army. It is an army. It's an army of the universe.
They can solve a lot of problems.
They could. They are essentially they are essentially the UN.
Yeah,
they're the
UN's militia.
Yeah, they're essentially the UN's militia of the universe.
Well, I mean that's the thing is if it's someone else's story, that's the problem with an interconnected universe. If it's someone else's story, you don't want like if it's like Superman's off saving New Krypton or something like that. You don't want the Green Lanterns to fly in and be like, "We saved the day."
Yeah,
they get written off a lot.
They get written off so much, and it's like it's literally a giant army. How do you write off a force that big? What? And here's one for you. Why are they never at Earth when Darkseid invades Earth?
Because that would be then you could defeat Darkseid.
No, you couldn't.
No, I know it would actually be interesting, but. This is the colored spectrum.
Yeah, this is
the emotional spectrum.
This is the emotional spectrum, and it goes by the whole colors of the rainbow with the Roy G. Biv, obviously. Yeah. But
each color
has its own associated emotion to it.
So what is red's?
Red is rage, and it's also the Red Lantern Corps, which is my favorite corps outside of the Green Lantern Corps, and it houses one of my favorite side characters in the show.
Dexter. I'm not gonna lie, that's you can't tell me that a cat is not full of pure rage. That makes so much sense. Not even joking. There is literally a cat that is a Red Lantern. And because he has so much rage in his heart,
he became a Red Lantern.
Look up his background. It's great.
It's great.
So great.
I think he became a Red Lantern literally because his owner died.
Yeah, his owner got killed. He tried to attack him, and then he got punted. And so they're like, "There's a lot of anger in your heart, Dexter."
Right. But Dexter isn't my favorite character. It's actually the man, the myth, the legend himself. Atrocitus found the Red Ring right after he got decimated by the Manhunters, as we were talking about with the Guardians earlier when we talked about the Green Lantern Corps. The Manhunters wiped out an entire sector, and on said sector was Atrocitus, and Atrocitus has so much rage in his heart that he actually summoned the Red Ring. He actually summoned the Red he basically summoned the power of the red emotional spectrum, and he through that he crafted the first Red Ring and it wasn't through the way the Guardians used it, which was through technology and stuff like that. No, the Red Ring was forged through the same means, but with also magic.
Blood magic.
Blood magic, to be more specific. So one of the things that it's also wearing a red ring is like a commitment for life, because once you put on the red ring,
it's not like It's kind of like marriage.
It's kind of like marriage, where in the sense when you put on the red ring, you lose the ring replaces your heart.
Like straight up.
Like it
what is it? It's not only that it replaces your heart, your blood becomes filled with red energy.
Yeah.
And you go into a berserker rage the first time you put on the ring.
Yeah. Which is why if you can see the poster, why his mouth is just full of like blood. Like the
they also have literally like vomit that's fire.
Yeah. Like while they can create constructs, most of the constructs that they create is basically like giant blood magic. Like if you guys have ever played Injustice 2, you'll notice that all he does is like summon like pools of blood with the occasional like red energy beam.
Yeah.
But that is essentially how the red lanterns work. And when they create their constructs, it's literally all their constructs are made out of blood, and it has like this very
yeah. It's like liquidy feel.
Like
it's not solid.
It's not a complete solid. There you go.
Yeah, what's really nice about all the cores is like you would think it would just be slap and paste a different color, but like they're actually all fairly unique in different ways, and it's actually really enjoyable.
Going back to Atrocitus, one of the things I love about Atrocitus is that
he's kind of justified.
He's a very justified character. Basically, Atrocitus feel in the earlier stories of Green Lantern, the Guardians governed the entire they governed the entirety of the Green Lanterns, and Atrocitus felt like the Guardians were corrupt. So the Red Lanterns are essentially the police for the police.
In Atrocitus eyes, yes, but unfortunately, what they end up doing is probably just as destructive, if not more destructive.
Right.
It's revenge.
It's basically revenge, and Atrocitus controls the battery. So if Atrocitus feels like you're not doing your job, you don't get to charge your ring.
Yeah, we forgot to mention that your rings have to be recharged.
Yeah.
It made sense for willpower, because willpower, literally that's how our bodies work, is we can only have so much willpower. But I guess with rage it makes sense.
And well, I feel like with such a the rings are the most powerful one.
You need a kryptonite.
Yeah.
Which there was a kryptonite. We'll get to that.
Yeah, we won't talk about it. Atrocitus controls the red battery, so if he feels like you're not doing your job, or if you don't have enough rage, or if you become Red Lantern but you're not good enough to be a Red Lantern, he won't let you charge your ring.
Which means you could die.
Which means if you run out of energy on your red ring, you go. Let's move. Orangey.
I feel like that one's gonna be quick.
Yeah, that one is quick.
Here's why is it quick, Darius? Why is that one?
The reason the orange is so quick is because there's literally only one person. That being said, this one person is so he is probably
so orange is avarice.
Orange is
greed.
Greed, literally. So
it makes sense that there's only one guy in the entire Orange Lantern Corps. Larfleeze, and the reason Larfleeze is he's comedic relief. Let's be honest.
Larfleeze is comedic relief, but he's not. Larfleeze is someone not to be trifled with.
Yeah. Because
Larfleeze has so much greed in him that when he actually the orange core, even though it's comprised of one person, is comprised of constructs. Nothing but constructs.
The constructs actually, I believe, represent the old members of the core that Larfleeze killed.
Yes, Larfleeze has so much greed in his heart that he wanted all the rings, everything for himself, so he killed everyone. And he used the orange ring to actually recreate them into constructs.
This is how greedy he is. There's literally a comic series, or not series, one issue, where he's trying to find Santa because he's mad he never got gifts from Santa.
And
I think my favorite part, though, so like each core has their own
right
that reflects their core. Brightest day and blackest night, all that stuff.
Larfleeze is his mine is mine and mine is mine and not yours. Yeah, pretty much.
It's just mine is mine and mine. What is mine, not yours.
Yeah, and he literally just gets like stupid strong from it. Now for the man, the myth, the legend himself, the man modeled after Hitler himself.
He is. Yeah.
We have Sinestro.
So what's interesting is he's the one core that's not named after a color. It's called the Sinestro Corps.
Yeah,
you would think he'd be the one about greed, but
yeah.
His color's fear.
Yeah, his Sinestro wears the yellow ring, and the yellow ring actually through the emotional spectrum. We forgot to say this. Each ring has its own strength and weaknesses against each other.
Kind of, yeah. Well, I think we'll more explain it with Hope. Hope is a good consolidator.
Yeah, Hope is a good consolidator for it, but each ring has its own strength and weaknesses against them. And at one point, the Guardians, while Hal Jordan was becoming a Green Lantern, the Guardians thought that maybe, just maybe, willpower isn't working. And so they tried to use a different source of power, which is fear. And the first person that was going to become a Yellow Lantern, which ironically was the first Yellow Lantern, was Sinestro, being that Sinestro was the leader of the Green Lantern Corps at the time, aside from the Guardians. We know the Guardians...
He was like the police chief, but the Guardians are like the city council.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's the best way we can explain it. And Sinestro was already mad with power. But if you really look at Sinestro, if you take a good hard look at Sinestro, actually, some of the things that he does is justified.
What's funny is, for being a ripoff of, supposed to be a
ripoff of Hitler,
he's actually, like, you can actually relate to him a little bit.
Right, you can actually relate to him a little bit in some senses. Sinestro is very passionate about justice and order, and he felt like and the reason he turns on the Guardians was not because he was evil, but because he felt like the Guardians governing over the Lanterns was a bad thing. He felt like because they were too restrictive. Like, if you want something done and you want it done right, then either do it yourselves or let us do our job.
Yeah, pretty much. What's interesting is, so back in the Silver Age with Alan Scott, because every superhero had to have an obvious weakness. Like Superman was kryptonite, Wonder Woman was being tied up, and Batman's was being a person.
Yeah.
So with Green Lantern, they decided that anything yellow
was his weakness.
Literally throw a banana peel at him, and it's really. Yeah, it was kind of Silver Age.
We're not talking.
It's Silver Age, but so what they do is, instead of having it be that the weakness is yellow, they make the yellow ring core.
They make the They make the Sinestro core.
Yeah,
and
that's I think that's a good homage to
it. That being said, Sinestro is super egotistical, and it's why it's not called the Yellow Core. It is why it's called the Sinestro Core.
Because again, he is based off Hitler. He comes from a world where he was the leading, it was super dictatory.
Yeah, and you gotta have the biggest dictator of them all. Sinestro has to be one of the most I have to say most consistent characters.
Yeah, he doesn't change.
He doesn't change. Like Sinestro has one set goal in mind, and that is
total authority over the universe.
What's interesting is the dynamic between him and Hal Jordan. Him and Hal hate each other.
Yeah. The second they met.
From the second they met, him and Hal hate each other.
Yep.
But they respect each other's skill.
Yeah.
They respect each other's skill and leadership.
Until they become enemies, basically. And then it's not anymore kind of a thing.
Right.
But Sinestro is really well done for sure. So, the Star Sapphires are, I don't know why they're called that. I mean, because their ring looks like a star and their color is pink sapphire.
Well, I don't know, but I do know the, most of the emotional spectrums were actually, were mined off of a home world.
Yeah, theirs was crystal.
Yeah.
Basically, they are love, and they're a all-female Lantern Corps, because again, 90s, pink can only be girls, so, that's how that worked. But basically they're love, and so in some iterations, it's a
brainwashing tool.
It can be, but in the sense of they're brainwashing others to join their force.
Yeah.
I was saying, I'm trying to think. The Star Sapphires, they kind of do have some negative qualities, but since they're more on the good half of the emotional spectrum, they tend to be more on the side of the Green Lanterns rather than against them. But Carol Ferris was Cal Jordan's girlfriend, and she ends up either reluctantly being tricked into or on her own joins the Star Sapphires.
Yeah.
Because again, love, girlfriend, that's the only thing.
Right.
We're not saying it's a good one.
Well,
Eventually falls in love with Guy Gardner, or not Guy Gardner. That'd be funny.
yeah.
With Kyle Rayner.
Oh, wait, give me a second.
She eventually falls in love with Kyle Rayner, and
I'm sorry.
that would be for interesting.
Oh my
You're dating Guy?
Right.
It's unfortunate that like the Star Sapphires don't do anything. Right?
They really don't.
They're kind of there when all the cores have to be there.
Right.
But I can't think of any stories. Like I know the animated series does some unique stuff with them, but it's mostly just like we're love, but we're actually secretly this.
Right.
Like yeah. Unlike the Indigo group, which you would think are.
You would think they're good guys.
So here's what's interesting about the Indigo Corps. They act like a Native American tribe.
Yeah, they're kind of like a tribe.
They're nomadic. It's very interesting. Like they all have their rings.
Right.
And their emotion is compassion.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. Until you find out.
Until you find out like the actual dark side about them.
All of the members who were like all the original members, which are still current, were convicts.
Yeah, they were all convicts, psychopaths, killers, murderers.
Something about like I think it's like their ship crashed on the planet that had the indigo rings, and the rings basically took over their minds and forced compassion on them. This is so unlike the rest of the cores where it's like you have a lot of anger in your heart, you have a lot of will, you have a lot of this. This is the core that's like, no, you're
unless you have it, you're getting it now.
Yeah, it's a very interesting thing when you find out about them.
Like, right, they're good guys, but in actuality they're bad guys, but they're not. But good guys.
It's a really good moral question, and I don't think the comics really go into too much. They pose it, but they don't like explore it. Where it's like, we're forcing the bad guys to do good. Is that in and of itself good? And then we get to my personal favorite, the Blue Lantern Corps. I love the Blue Lantern Corps. So here's what we were talking about earlier about weaknesses and strengths. The Blue Lantern Corps is unique in the fact that they are both the weakest and the strongest corps. They're the weakest because on their own they kind of don't do much. But you pair them, literally, if a Blue Lantern ring is in the presence of like of a Green Lantern ring, the Green Lantern ring gets supercharged and is like at 115 capacity.
And they just like...
They go, damn. I like it because it makes sense. Like hope gives you a lot more, like the will to move on. It makes like compassion strong.
That being said, like I said earlier with the red rings, each color has their own like set of own dynamic weakness to it.
Yeah, and hope is just fragile. Yeah, I like it a lot. What I really like though is Saint Walker. So he's the one pictured there. He is the first Blue Lantern, and he, unlike a lot of the corps, he didn't. Like it was very interesting. So it was this idea of in his village or his planet there was a prophecy of it. Whoever climbs the hill will find their basically Messiah, their savior. So he takes his family with him, and they go up, and his family one by one dies. Like it's tough, and he's like, no, our village is dying. We need to figure out who this savior is.
Right.
I'm gonna keep going, and like he loses his kids, he loses his wife. He eventually gets up there, and all there is like it's a reflecting pool of water. That's what's at the top, and he's like, what? No, they said the savior would be here. What? No, and like he has a moment of doubt, but then he's like, no, I believe that the savior is here, that he will be here somewhere. And I have enough hope, and the blue ring manifests, and he becomes the first Blue Lantern. Another really cool thing I like about the Blue Lantern Corps is that, unlike a lot of the other corps where the rings happen to choose people, I think it's probably because of St. Walker, but it's like whoever the newest member is, they have to go out into the galaxy, and they pick whoever the next one they think will be worthy of it is. So you get like this elephant dude. It's great. You get like a few other people. I really like it. I just like their core a lot, and I think Saint Walker's a very interesting character in the sense of like he's a good mentor figure. So it's like we're going through a lot of crap. Saint Walker's like, I know, it's okay. You want to start off with Darkest Night? Because that's the most iconic.
Yep, let's do it. So in order to talk about Blackest Day, we're gonna have to, Blackest Night. We're gonna have to,
Brightest Day and Blackest Night.
So we're gonna have to take this bad boy and we're gonna have to crank it all the way back. So during
the time in comics where a bunch of heroes are dead, this one dude who's dabbling with necromancy, as you would.
Yep. He gets a he gets
from basically a version of the Grim Reaper, because there's like 15 different versions of the Grim Reaper. There's one for the speedsters. There's like so many. So then the dude is dabbling in necromancy. The Grim Reaper's like, hey man, that's cool. These are black rings.
It's a black ring.
By the way, give that to everyone.
Right. and this black Grim Reaper, also known as the Entity of Death, Necron.
Mm-hmm.
And Necron has one goal in mind and only one goal.
Death.
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 Death. So
basically, to start this off, he revives back Martian Manhunter.
Yep.
From the death.
Yep.
Firestorm, he becomes Deathstorm, I think is what they call him.
They call him Deathstorm.
Which is, why does he get a cool nickname, but Martian Manhunter, well, I mean, to be fair, Martian Manhunter already is like a dark name.
Yeah.
I'm hunting it. Yeah, he revives back a bunch of like dead heroes.
And when these dead heroes come back, their powers come back too.
Mm-hmm. Plus being amplified by the
black rings. So they became even stronger.
And then they ended up putting rings on living people that turned them dead. So like Batman dies, Superman dies. Like you get these really like graphic images of zombie Justice League.
Zombie Justice League.
And so it ultimately comes down to Barry and Hal, right? A few other people.
Yeah, Barry and Hal, and
during this time,
all these main heroes here. Well, I think the exception of Larfleeze, right?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. I have the book at home, and I just haven't read it in a long time. All of these guys here, they end up. Well, I think with the exception of Larfleeze, and Carol and Indigo and the Indigo tribe.
Yeah.
They all get taken over and they lose their rings. So the surviving.
The second you introduce the Lantern Corps, naturally the next conversation is which member of the Justice League would wear which ring. But lucky for you, it's canon.
Yeah, it's canon. So these rings were immediately transported to the closest people because of what was going on. The person who gets our lovely red ring here, which is my favorite ring, is Mara of Atlantis.
Yeah, that was an interesting.
That was interesting. She would literally she was literally an unstoppable force.
Yeah.
Like I didn't realize how she
has red hair.
Right. Redheads, man.
No, but it was one of those things where you're like, really? Okay, that's pretty cool.
The person who gets Fear is the icon of Fear himself, who is also Scarecrow.
Yeah, that's right.
Scarecrow gets the yellow ring.
You think it'd be Batman, but nope.
No, because remember Scarecrow.
Fear toxin, yeah.
Yeah,
that's right.
We already talked. Barry gets the blue ring, which was a high point, very high.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you're like, I didn't know I wanted that.
Yeah,
and it's so cool that I got that, and it makes sense, and it's cool. It's also like Hal Jordan's like, my best friend got a ring, yeah.
Right. The pink ring. Wonder Woman gets it.
I told you.
Ray Palmer gets the indigo one.
Ray Palmer, interesting.
Yeah.
You give it to the Atom.
Yeah.
That's weird.
And then he had the belt and everything too, so he was shooting it back to
so it's cool because you get to see.
And then, but we forgot one person.
Wow.
We forgot one more person in the orange ring.
Well, who's gonna go?
That?
It's gotta be someone really greedy. It's probably a villain.
There's only one person worthy of that ring.
Who's that?
Lex Luthor.
Oh right! I forgot that.
There's only one person worthy.
That's right.
There's only one person.
If there was a ring for Ego, it'd go to him, but we got Greed instead. But that's what's interesting about Blackest Night. It kind of ends there.
Yeah, but
it doesn't end on a good note.
It doesn't end on a good note, which brings up. No, actually, it does end up. It actually does.
It ends on a good note, but like it's still sad.
Yeah. What ends up happening is Sinestro of all people, through any like hope of if everything was like it was gonna be over, like even with them getting like powered, even like all the heroes and villains getting powered up by these other rings, it looked like all hope was lost and it was done for. But in actuality, Sinestro saves everyone because he creates the first white ring.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a white. What'd you think? There was a black one, just
yeah.
There's a white one too,
and it cleanses everyone, right? It brings it to life.
It cleanses everyone. It is life in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm.
One of the I'm trying to think of my words carefully. One of the attributes that the white ring has is that it channels every emotional spectrum except for death, because that's what life is, just full of emotions. So that's through the use of the white ring.
Death is the absence.
Yeah.
Life is emotion.
The present.
Yeah.
Sinestro uses the ring to basically cleanse, to defeat Necron and cleanse.
And he kind of brings people back who've been dead.
Yeah, he brings a lot of people back who've been dead. But after that, the ring casts itself away from Sinestro because the ring realizes, Sinestro, hi.
Nope.
and then it goes away, and then it drops this giant white power battery, boom, on Earth, and Dead Man,
That's right, Dead Man. Yeah.
Dead Man, who was a hero that who's gone through.
He's dead.
He's dead.
But that's his superpower.
That's his superpower. He literally can't move past the path. For some reason, he can't pass on, and the gods have literally cursed him to stay on the material plane, so he can possess people and do right.
It's very interesting.
It's a very interesting dynamic. Dead Man comes back to life, which brings us to our next story, which is Brightest Day.
Yep, the next sequel.
Yep.
Basically like a, you thought this was over, no?
Yeah, no, this is not over.
It's not, see, that's the problem, is Brightest Day, to me, isn't as well remembered as Blackest Night.
But, I think that's because...
They're paired together, but I really remember the events of Blackest Night more than I do Brightest Day.
That's because Brightest Day, it's like...
Because it's really just like...
Brightest Day is basically an epilogue. And I think,
Yeah.
And it
turns out you actually didn't defeat the villain, right? Isn't that what it is?
It was like, no, you didn't defeat the villain, but in order to defeat the villain,
everyone has to get a White Lantern ring.
Right.
And everyone gets a White Lantern ring, and then they defeat him. Like, that's the problem, is like...
It was
with Blackest Night, it was like more twists. Like, even though people died, there were twists outside of that. Like oh wait, their rings are going to the heroes and villains.
Right.
Oh wait, Sinestro showing up. Oh wait, that's what was interesting about Blackest Night. Or they're bringing these people back. Wait, this person died. Like,
and one of the interesting dynamics with Dead Man was that Dead Man was brought back to life, and the ring told him to live life, and he lived life, and then he died again, and then
this is the curse of Dead Man.
But when Dead Man died, the four elements of the world, the green, the blue, whatever the other two elements are, we don't remember them.
Sorry.
They all
joined
Swamp
Thing fans.
So yeah, sorry, Swamp Thing fans. They all joined forces together, and they create
See, that's the problem, is it's not as remembered. It's like Blackest Night.
You know what I do remember? War of Lights. When the Yellow Lanterns and the Green Lanterns finally duke it out once for all, and the Parallax corrupts the green energy ring again. So
Parallax for
and
quick.
It brings in it really brings in the entities. For a quick synopsis, really quick, because we forgot to mention it. Each emotional spectrum has its own entity.
So, I want to explain how we got to that point. So, at some point, DC was talking about how there's a villain that's going to come and kill everybody, and it turned out to be Hal Jordan, who straight up killed everyone in the Green Lantern Corps, called himself Parallax, and became a villain. Then they realized, oh crap, we don't want Hal Jordan to be a villain. So then they stated that he was actually being possessed by the entity of fear, Parallax.
Yeah.
And so then when they stated that, they basically stated, well, shoot, now we have to say that there's entities for all the emotions. And so, Reds is a bull.
Yeah.
Isn't one of them's a whale? Yeah. They're weird.
The War of Lights basically the Parallax takes over the green battery, which makes all Green Lanterns evil, and it's up to Hal, Guy, the main four cast.
Which what's really cool about this story is that you get Hal, Guy, John, and Kyle. But they have to wear different rings.
They all put on different rings.
Hal was fear, Guy was rage,
John was compassion, and then
Kyle
was hope.
But what's also interesting is later on, some of them channel 2 rings at once. Guy and Hal both channel 2 rings simultaneously. Let's see, one that sticks out to my mind is the one where just cause Kyle Rayner's just fighting people, and then a bunch of rings literally this We're like, nope. For
Right.
people, it kills one of the Red Lanterns, obviously, because of what we talked about.
Right.
And they all just go to him and they just force themselves on him. But what I really liked was all these the lieutenants show up and they're like, I'm sorry, what? No, the rings just go in and he's like, oh, no. And he turns into a White Lantern temporarily. Yeah, Kyle kind of goes after the White Lanterns towards the later half of the comics.
I gotta really get back into it because this is like one of, just gotta get back into it. Like even if I'm not reading consistently, I just gotta read it like regularly.
Yeah.
Like I gotta read like I read Red Hood. Like even if I don't buy the comic, I always go to the comic book store and I just read it really quick.
No. Support your local comic stores. Buy comics. And probably whatever else they're selling, because let's be honest, they diversify at this point. If they don't, that's
Oh no, listen, I buy collectibles all the time.
No, I know.
It's sad.
Yeah, no, I want to get like replicas of the rings at some point. That's a cool. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. That's not you just put another collectible item in my head that I gotta get now. That's why I'm looking at you like that.
Well, bro, when we move in together, we can share it, and then when we eventually move out, we're gonna have to fight over it, and we'll figure it out.
I'm taking the Red Ring hat down. All right. That being said, guys, my name's Darius Crosley,
I'm Frank Joseph Hall.
and you watch It's Convoluted.
Have they though?
How come Henry D.